So why is it that you want to learn how to make cheese?
The only two things that are going to get me through the zombie apocalypse are meat and cheese.
Okay.
And companionship, of course.
Well, thank you.
I used to live in Italy, and they had mozzarella cheese over there, and it was incredible. So I got back to the U.S. after living a year in Rome, and the first thing I did was buy mozzarella at the store, and it was awful. So it turns out once you refrigerate mozzarella, like on the way to the store where it's going to be sold, it makes it so that it doesn't release moisture as much. And that's why it doesn't have the same texture as fresh mozzarella does when you're eating it. So that's why they say fresh mozzarella is the best. So milk is obviously an important factor in cheese making, and so it turns out you can make mozzarella from any milk. In Italy, they use water buffalo milk, which is why it's called mozzarella di bufala, bufala being buffalo. So I don't know where to get that in South Dakota. I don't even know if that exists here. So we're going to be using cow's milk. Did you know milk is 95% water? I found out a lot of people want to go the organic route with doing cheese online, but the problem is that organic milk is often ultra pasteurized. You don't want that because it means it was heated up way too much and it kills any kind of bacteria that helps in cheese making. So don't get ultra pasteurized milk. Okay, so we just got back from the health food store and we actually found everything we needed. We got citric acid, calcium chloride, and rennet. Perfect, so we are set up to make cheese actually. Cool. Okay, so why do we use these three ingredients? Well, first we have rennet. Okay, rennet is actually taken from the stomach of unweaned calves. So it's essentially digesting milk. That's what's happening when you make cheese, is you are digesting the milk the same way a calf would, which is maybe gross, I don't know. Our second thing is calcium chloride. Okay, so I guess when you add citric acid and rennet, you actually are taking out calcium in the milk itself. So what calcium chloride does is it restores the calcium back into the milk, which is kind of mind-blowing. And the last thing we have is citric acid, and citric acid is all about controlling the pH level of the cheese. So those are your three main ingredients, aside from milk, of course. There's actually some fascinating science behind this cheese making stuff, so I'm going to put some links in the description. There's a guy on Reddit who writes an awesome description of citric acid. It's kind of mind-blowing. I don't know if I fully understand it. I'm going to put a link to a guy named Gavin Weber, who is the biggest YouTube guy for making cheese. If you want to make Swiss, mozzarella, cheddar, any kind of cheese you want to make, this guy has it. He's from Australia. He's a great guy. Can't recommend enough. Check out his YouTube channel. Anyway, let's try it. Oh, I forgot the milk. So when I was looking online, I found out that the population that consumes cheese the most is actually the Greeks. The Greeks eat a lot of feta cheese, and I guess they consume 27.3 kilograms of cheese per year per person, which if you translate that to pounds for us standard system people, that comes out to, let's see, carry the 4, comes out to about 63 pounds of cheese, which is a lot of cheese. And if I'm being honest, I Googled how many pounds 27.3 kilograms of cheese was. I can't do math like that. Okay, we're gonna do a time lapse of this so you guys don't have to watch me stir a pot for 30 minutes. So the first thing you wanna do, heat your milk to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Take a couple of small containers, mix half a cup of water with 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid and a 1/4 cup of water with a 1/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride. Put each of those into your pot, mixing thoroughly after each one. Heat your milk to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Mix a 1/4 cup of water with half a teaspoon of rennet and then pour that in very slowly into your pot and stir for a couple of minutes. Now we just wait 5 minutes. Don't forget to cover the pot. So this white mass that's separated is called the curd. What you want to do is take a long knife and cut that into about inch squares, a grid type shape. Now stirring very slowly and carefully so as to not break up the curd, heat up your pot to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm supposed to have curds, and all I have is this slop. I don't know what's going on, why it's like this, but it's just, I don't know, this doesn't seem right. Okay, got our pot here, curds. We're gonna try to strain this and see what happens. Oofta, that is kind of weird. That's kind of nasty. Here's a little pro tip for doing the dishes afterwards. These little white curds, if you don't wash them off right away, they get stuck on there really hard. And you have to scrub and scrub to get them off. So leave them for your significant other or do them yourself right away. We're gonna drain off as much of the whey as possible throughout the process. And we're gonna microwave it for about 30 seconds at a time until it's hot enough to stretch. You're supposed to be able to get it hot enough to where you're supposed to be able to just like stretch it over and over on top of itself, which is actually why mozzarella has those layers in it, and why string cheese comes apart the way it does is because mozzarella, part of the process is folding it back onto itself and layering that cheese. So we're gonna microwave this for 30 seconds and try to stretch it. Okay, so some of the whey will start to come out. So what you wanna do is drain that. Just keep draining that off, and then I guess you're supposed to, okay, so you're supposed to use a tablespoon of kosher salt, which is, or cheese salt, which is basically kosher salt. And then spread that around on your cheese. And then now you're just supposed to start kind of trying folding it onto itself. I don't know, it's really crumbly, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be hot enough to where you can just stretch it, but so far we just have a big crumbly mess. So, got the salt in there. We're gonna put it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. All right, so here we are 30 seconds later. It's getting pretty hot. I guess you can wear dishwasher gloves to do this if you want to, if it's too hot. I'm a wimp, so it's getting kind of hot. I might have some dishwasher gloves around here. It's not stretching yet, and also our mass is very small. It is sticking together a little bit more, I think, but I have microwaved this many times, and it's not working. It's staying, it's really hot. There's a spoon. It's basically staying really crumbly. It's not stretching at all. When you try to pull it apart, it just comes apart like that. It's not, there's some stretchiness, like some parts are, but this is not working at all. It's just coming apart. It's just a big glob. So, I don't know. Big fail. We'll try again tomorrow. We are on our way to the store to give this another try. I need to get more milk. So the last time I got milk that was kind of cheap. Like this was a trial run. I didn't want to use kind of higher quality milk, and I found out online that that might be part of the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find some higher quality milk, and we're going to give this another try. All right, this looks way better than yesterday. Look at how much more solid and bigger these curds are than they were yesterday. This looks perfect. This is looking way better. It's not, oh my gosh, it's even stretching already. Oh yeah, awesome. I think it might need a little bit more. No, it doesn't. See, it's supposed to have like a sheen on it, I guess. Okay, so we gotta add our salt. Awesome. That is so cool. All right, we're gonna put it back in for just a little bit. Oh yeah! That is awesome. What? That is so cool. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Okay, so now you just twist, right? Twist it.
You kind of fold it over and then squeeze off a chunk of it into a ball like that. That's a ball of mozzarella. Awesome.
Once you have your mozzarella balls made, what you want to do is get a bowl of ice water and put them in there for a few minutes.
I guess the ice water helps it, keeps its shape in the ball. Otherwise they just flatten out like pancakes. That's good. I'm very happy right now. Wow, that is really good. Hey, hon, do you want to try some?
No, I don't really like mozzarella.
So we figured it out. We figured out how to make mozzarella. So a few things, a few tips about how I did this. First of all, milk. Get the freshest milk you can. Find the jug with the furthest out expiration date that you can. I used Land O'Lakes whole milk, which seems to be higher quality. It was $3.50 a gallon. So use the highest quality milk that you can. Don't use ultra pasteurized milk, which is mostly what organic milk is. So I did some research online and I found out you don't need calcium chloride. So the second time I did it, I did not use calcium chloride, which apparently affects the stretchiness of the cheese. So I guess maybe the first jug of milk would have worked if I would have used calcium chloride, but there was only like a $1.50 difference between the gallons. So I'm fine with using the higher quality milk because it turned out so well. In the description of this video on YouTube, I have put a detailed instruction list for you guys because when you're in the kitchen, most of the time you want a paper recipe. You don't want to be watching a video while you're trying to do something. So that's a little bit easier to follow, I think. And a little bit more detailed instructions on the whole microwaving part. After you have it strained, you just keep microwaving it for 20 or 30 seconds at a time until it gets to that heat point of stretchiness. And then you add the salt and you kind of fold it and knead it like you do bread over on top of itself until it kind of gets a little bit dried out, but also like firm. Another thing I found out is when you strain the whey off, you can keep that liquid and store the fresh mozzarella in the whey at room temperature for about 24 hours. After that, you want to take them out, saran wrap them, get them really airtight, and then you can refrigerate them for 5 to 7 days. All you need is rennet, citric acid, milk, and cheese salt. That's all you need, and you got mozzarella. If you have any other questions on how I did this, comment on the video, comment on Facebook, wherever you see it, and I'll try to respond if I see it. If you guys give this a try, let me know. I'd love to see how it turns out for you guys. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. So next week, I'm going to be learning how to do kind of a little woodworking project. So I'll see you next week.